personal loans are going to get more expensive. RBI has flagged concerns, has increased the risk weight on these loans. What has happened?
So what's really happened is, Shweta, RBI has increased the risk weight on unsecured personal loans from 100% to 125%. What does this mean? It's a 25% jump. But what this means is that banks who are lending to borrowers unsecured loans or loans that do not carry a mortgage will now have to provision for 25% more on their own books in case those loans were to default. Now, what this really eventually comes down to for consumers like you and me is that if you want to take a personal loan from a bank, or if you want to get a greater exposure on your credit card from a bank, and if you happen to be in the unsecured category, then banks, to offset this higher weight and the higher provisioning that they have to do against these loans, will eventually end up charging a higher rate of interest from consumers like you and me. Now, it's not just the banks actually that lend to consumers in an unsecured loan fashion. The unsecured loans mostly come from the NBFCs, the non-banking finance corporations. Where do they take their money from? They eventually borrow money from banks and lend out to consumers. So the impact is really going to be felt more on NBFCs, and NBFCs will have to borrow from banks at a more expensive cost. Eventually, to recoup their own profitability, they will have to lend out again at a higher rate. So all this actually means that RBI, which has been creating this, alarm bells around unsecured loans and this credit economy, which has been growing and easy credit available to consumers, and how consumers are saving less and taking more loans to spend more, RBI has been, over the last few months, a little concerned, a little worried about this situation ballooning. And now it is saying that, we've given enough guidance, we've given enough hints to banks to sort of control their books when it comes to unsecured loans. And we want banks to lend out more secured loans, loans which are to salaried employees, loans that have some sort of a collateral, some sort of a mortgage attached to them. And by way of banks not doing it voluntarily, RBI has now increased the risk weight from 100% to 125%.
Essentially means that it's going to be more difficult now to get an unsecured loan for a person out
It'll
there.
definitely be more expensive, more difficult or not. I think, again, it depends, because NBFCs and banks both, profit from lending out to borrowers, and that is pretty much their source of income, their source of revenue.
So it's
the
not
interest
going
that
to be
they
more
get,
stringent, but more expensive.
more expensive. So if it is more expensive, I think they would prefer to push secured loans rather than unsecured loans. But in the same breath, I'd like to add that the regular loans like your car loan, auto loans, home loans, education loans, those are outside of this ambit of unsecured loans, which now carry a higher risk weight.
All right, so unsecured loans, literally loans that have no collateral, are given to non-salaried employees and given on the basis of their risk credit and creditworthiness. All of that is going to get more expensive in days to come.